What is up, PokePeeps and Masters? It is Russ here, PokeRuss here, and we are back for another Deck Tech. Deck Tech is a series where I go over a deck, all of its ins and outs, and all that kind of stuff. Sometimes submitted by you guys, sometimes created by me and my crew. And we go over different decks in the format and show off different unique things about them. Just with being a community-driven series, it just allows a lot more input, and like you see a lot of different, like, this might be good in your area versus this might be good in somebody else's area. So this is a community-driven series where we go over deck profiles and stuff like that. Yeah. So before we get into today's deck profile, I do want to mention there's a couple days left on the giveaway down below in the description box down below. There's a couple other things down there like bottom dollar and bottom dollar TC's links and my links and all that kind of stuff. But there's also a link to a giveaway where you can win a bunch of free, awesome Brawly themed things just to commemorate the movie and show thanks to you guys for being part of my awesome channel. So we're gonna start at the beginning. So over the weekend we did have last weekend we did have the big event for Dragon Ball. I believe it was Atlantic City, or yeah, I think it was Atlantic City. But so we've seen a bunch of the new thriving decks from the brand new set that just dropped. So I kind of want to take a step back, because this is also going to be a set where a lot of people I think are going to get involved into the game or come back into the game, because this format I think is very, very good. Like, good as a whole. It's a decently slow format. I don't think there's a lot of super broken speedy decks once February 1st hits, so I think a lot of people are either going to come back to the game or start playing the game, and I think Bardock is a place that people might start out. Because Bardock, I mean, blue has its roots where it's one of the only untaps in the game and all that kind of stuff. This is kind of, the deck I'm going to show off today is kind of like, it's not a budget, it's not made to be a budget, but it's meant to be like, so Bardock can be one of those decks where it's like, Jimmy wants to build a little Bardock deck, but there's so many different combo pieces to making the Bardock deck that it's interesting to see which is important and which is not. So there's a lot of different pieces. Yes, if you get every single piece of the Bardock pie, it's going to create one destructive turn, but you're paying like a billion mana and this and that and the other thing. So I think Bardock is still a good leader, and I kind of want to go over an intro basic deck to get into playing Bardock. And you can build and grow from this. So this isn't a perfect 50 card list. I almost said 52 card list, and you're like, what? Why are you doing 52 cards? No. 50 card list, and we're going to go and build this Bardock, or we're going to go over this Bardock deck. It has some unique things from old sets and stuff like that, but I think this is a great base on where to build the deck. So this is Bardock. Bardock is Burst 2. When this card attacks a leader card, draw one card, and then this card gains 5,000 power for the duration of the turn. Pretty nice. It means, out of the gate, he can compete with big boys. He can compete with big leaders. So he isn't actually forced to awaken right away. Now, we've seen that a couple times in the past with like Pan and stuff. Leaders that aren't forced to awaken are pretty amazing. And you kind of want to start building up your discard pile just a little bit for your sparking effects and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, so when you awaken, you choose 2 of your energy and awaken. So this is one of those leaders again. Most of your leaders you want to awaken on your turn, but this one with an energy thing, you can awaken on both players' turns, but it's more often ostentatious. It's better to awaken on your turn because of the plays you can make. So when you awaken, you have Bardock, Hope of the Saiyans, sparking 5. When this card attacks, draw one card and then gains plus 5,000 power for the turn. So that's pretty awesome. It becomes a 20,000 power as a built-in senzu bean for the attacking turn. And then on the defensive, it's like this is a pretty offensive card, and it's a pretty defensive card, all built into the same card, which is pretty unique, and that's why I think it makes a very great beginner's deck, and this is what I would definitely suggest, especially since you can get most of this stuff from buying like a handful pack or going to your local dollar bin and 50-cent bin or whatever, and just build a Bardock deck out of it, and have a decently like, you're probably not going to win every event, or like you're gonna do well and you're gonna have fun while playing it, because this deck is actually really fun. So when this card is attacked, if you have a Bardock crew in your drop area, you may choose one of your life and send it to your drop area. If you do, negate the attack. So this has a built-in negate. So you don't want to use this on every attack, obviously, because you're still going to be taking life, and you're like, why would that be useful? We want to use it against those double, triple attacks and all that kind of stuff. So this is going to be really good against attacks from like Shenron and stuff like that. So your opponent's going to think twice about activating their Shenron's final attack and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to put this back in its little sleeve here. I collect all the foil leaders, so I have them all nice up in, but you can't really see it when it's all in the sleeve. So we're gonna start off with the Bardock deck. So we're gonna start off with the common things that you're gonna throw pretty much in every deck. This is your super combo, the Tool O, the Seer. It's a super combo. If you combo with this card and your leader is a Bardock's crew, and your life is 5 or less, so usually it's 4 or less, but this can be activated a little bit early. 5 or less, you draw one card and get plus 10,000 for the duration of the turn. Pretty nice. Pretty, like, the point that it does it at 5 is pretty awesome. Next, we're going to go over, this is pretty much, you're going to see this in almost every deck. I mean, any deck that can afford to run a small blue engine is going to run this, because this card, I've talked about it before, I'm not a big fan of this card, but I realize how good it is and how important and integral it is to certain deck types. So, if you want to hear my rant on that, it'll be there'll be a card up here, or you can check in my videos. I rant about how I think this card's actually really bad for the format. But if you want to see that, go ahead and check that out. But this card, it has barrier and it says your opponent can't attack with energy costs 2 or less. It pretty much slows down the game to a point where a little bit of a slower deck or a setup deck has chance to thrive and stuff like that, but it also ruins a lot of the stuff that makes the game the way it is. So I'm not, like I said, I'm not a big fan of it, but I understand how good and important it is for certain decks. So getting into the meat and potatoes, we're running 4 Fascia, Planetary Invader. So this is one of your turn 1 cards. When you play this card, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, choose one Bardock's crew among them and add it to your hand, and shuffle your deck after. Pretty standard turn 1. Almost every theme deck has this kind of card where it searches out a piece of the puzzle, and it's the standard turn 1. You can play it pretty much anytime. It's not gonna be one of those guys who's attacking, but you play it, you combo with it to make your leader a little bit stronger or your guy a little bit stronger, and it does what it does. Deck thinning is deck winning. So next in that same vein, you have Planetary Invader Tora. So you have a couple pieces of the combo that are pretty integral to what you need to do. So each turn with your Unawakened side, you're milling. You're milling 2 cards per turn. So, in case you can, this card allows you to use your graveyard as an extra resource. So, when you play this card, choose one of your Bardock's crew in your drop area and add it to your hand. So obviously, first turn, you're gonna wanna activate if you're going second, you activate your burst effect, and then you mill 2, and then, yeah. So you activate your burst effect, mill 2, and then if you need to, pick up something with Tora. So these guys are pretty babyish, and you can't really do much with them on the field once they're on the you can combo with them, you're probably not attacking with them, but that's where the deck kind of takes a little bit of a turn from the norm. So in this variant, we're running, where'd it go? We're running 2 copies of Hidden Power Grade 8 Fascia, and 2 copies of Hidden Power Grade 8 Tora. So these are actually cards back from set 3. They saw very little play when they were first released, because you really didn't have good Toras and Fascias to play with them. These are probably the best ones you're going to get. So, starting off with Fascia. They're both blockers, which is super nice. Auto during the turn, or during your turn, at the end of the battle in which you comboed with this card, choose one Fascia in your battle area and evolve into this card. So, just comboing with it. And because this is a yellow, combo doesn't require a certain color. So, even though all the rest of the deck is blue, you can combo with these cards and then evolve into them without having to have any other yellow card, which is super dope. So this one, when it evolves from Fascia, when this card evolves into this card, choose 2 of your opponent's battle cards and switch them to rest mode. So these guys aren't attacking, so they're pretty much going to be, whenever you summon these guys, they're going to be in non-rest mode. They're going to be in active mode. So their blocker is super important. And then this also, if they don't have barrier, it taps people down, and then you can just use your Grade 8 to run over them, or do whatever you need to. Tora, on the other hand, same thing. Blocker evolves when you combo with it on your turn. When this card evolves, or when a card evolves into this card, choose one of your opponent's rest mode battle cards and KO it. So in tandem with each other, this will put stuff in rest mode. This will KO stuff in rest mode. Pretty snazzy, pretty awesome. Gives a lot of spice to the deck when you're getting set up, and these are the only guys you kind of have. You kind of want to mitigate the issues on board. You want to get rid of those opposing Borgos, those opposing turn 1 things that are just going to drive you nuts. You have these as options, and then your big bulky blockers. One's 1500, one's 2000 blockers. They just sit there and be fat, and it kind of slows down the game. So, because you're really wanting to get to turn 5 with this deck. The deck can go off on turn 4 if you're playing kind of a newer person, like if they tap out or something like that on turn 4, but they're probably not. So usually this deck is going to have to end up going off on 5th turn. So next card in the list is Borgos. Borgos is another turn 1. When you play this card, draw a card, so it instantly replaces itself, and this is why it's seen in a lot of decks. It instantly replaces itself, and once per turn during your opponent's turn, if your opponent switches energy deck active mode within a non-awakened skill, choose one of your opponent's energy and send it to the owner's drop area. Super strong, stops some of those aggro plays, and stops them from sensu beating on their own turn to be aggressive, and stuff like that. Stops unyielding trunks on their turn, even though it's down to 1. Kind of limits that. They don't want to play their, it stops some of their cards like Personal Ambition, their Brawly effects, stuff like that. So, I mean, only if they untap energy. But this is pretty strong. This is, again, this is the thing you're going to want to target down your opponent's side of the board. So that's why we have the Tora and the Fasha and stuff like that. So Borgos is pretty strong. You're running 4 of it. Then you're running, did I grab? Oh, I did. Whoops. 2 copies of Burnished Bonds Shigesh. So when you play this card, you may draw 1 card. If you choose not, I'm sorry, when this card attacks, sorry. This is like the old Gohan and the old Bardock. So when you play this card, when this card attacks, you may draw 1 card. If you choose not to draw a card with this skill, it gets Double Strike. So this is an early Double Strike, pretty nice. There's not much to say about it. It's not integral to any combos, so we kind of just run 2 of it to keep it going in case you don't hit your curve the way you're hoping to. Next, we have 4 copies of Burnished Bonds Tora. Burnished Bonds Tora Barrier, so it's protected against a lot of things. If Bardock's crew is in your drop area, reduce the energy cost of this card by 1, so it becomes a 2 cost, which is pretty nice. If you want to hit on curve, which we'll go over at the end, you hit this on 2, and then turn 3, place this card in the owner's drop area. Choose 1 Final Strike Bardock from your deck, drop area, and play it, then shuffle your deck afterwards. If you look through your deck. That's pretty strong. It's Barrier 1500, turn 3, pretty good stat, beautiful stat for turn 2. So I'll show you, like I said, after we go over the deck, I'll show you some of the curvy cards with it. We're running 2 copies of Burnished Bonds Fasha. This is pretty much an end game combo. If you don't hit this off, you're not the most upset. That's why we only have 2 of it in deck, but it does work with the final push. So it does have critical. If a Bardock's crew is in your drop area, you can reduce this by 1. Place this card in the owner's drop area, choose one of your Bardock's crew in the battle area, and switch it to active mode. So this allows you to extend your place a little bit more. It's pretty awesome, especially for that Bardock strike at the end. If you get the ultimate setup going, this card can be pretty strong and crazy. Next we go into the final crew member. We have Bardock himself. So we're running 2 copies of Bardock himself, mostly because we have ways of pulling him back with Toras. We have ways of playing him from the discard pile with Tora and stuff like that. So as long as they're not in your hand, you're pretty safe. If they're in your hand, you just combo with them or discard them within like if your opponent's force you to discard, something like that. You get them in a discard pile, you get them keep them in your deck, one of the 2. So Barrier, so he's protected from your opponent's skills. Pretty nice. You can only have 1 Final Strike Bardock in your battle area at a time. When this card switches from rest mode to active mode, if your leader is a Bardock's crew, choose one of your opponent's cards in your opponent's hand and place it in the bottom of their deck. So, not like it's as a piece, it seems very underwhelming. As a finisher, it kind of seems underwhelming. It's really where the combos start to go off, where things really start to go big for this guy. So this card, based out of itself, is just a 2500 single strike barrier. Not the biggest thing to write home, but that's why we rock out 3 copies. Where did it go? Are these cards sticking together? Oh, they are. 3 copies of Tora's Armband. So 3 copies of Tora's Armband. Activate main. If your leader is Bardock's crew, choose 1 blue Tora card in your drop area and send it to Warp. Draw 4 cards, and then choose 1 Final Strike Bardock in your battle area. Switch it to active mode and gain plus 10,000 and double strike for the duration of the turn. At the end of the turn, choose 1 of your energy and switch to active mode. So this is a final push. This is pretty much he's chosen to go after Frieza. He's made the decision. He does have that one energy, Coco, that he sent off the world to, like, in case things don't happen to work the way they do. But this is pretty much your final strike, and it's not a game ender, so it's kind of a safe final game. I don't know, you know what I mean? So this is part of the combo. We're gonna put out the rest of the deck, but then we're gonna go over some combos. So we have 2 Deadly Defender Vegetas. Again, this is pretty much to elongate the game, try to get things to play out by turn 5 and go the way you want to, so you can get all your big combos off. Next, you have Oath's Power Tapion. This is your Self-Awakening card. You really don't have much Self-Awakening in this deck, which can be looked at as a problem. This deck really aims to play around Goku. So the most of the game isn't going to happen until later in the game anyway. You're kind of doing a little chip damage throughout the main part of the game. Bardock himself puts in a lot of work, so you don't have to worry too much about this guy, but we're running this guy as a Self-Awakener, mostly to get around the other things, and plus, your opponent's going to be knocking down a little bit of your life too, so this is pretty much, you hit this, you kind of Self-Awaken, and you do what you need to do. We're playing 2 copies of Yine. It's a free blocker, again, another card that's not blue, but you're never charging this, you're pretty much free playing it because you have Bardock as your leader, pretty standard. And next we have 2 copies of Hidden Power Supreme Kai. When you combo with this card, choose up to one of your attacking cards. It gains Double Strike for the duration of the battle. So pretty standard. Gives your pretty much the first time you use this the first time you attack with Bardock. You give a Double Strike, and then you use the combos and stuff to untap him and give him Double Strike more and do all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of just to get that first Double Strike in, so you can take him from when they're not expecting it. You can take him from 4 to 0 pretty upper-handedly. You have 2 copies of Dimension Magic, a Self-Awakening card because you do have Burst, so you can get the sparking off pretty quickly. Allows you to tap out on those early turns and still have a nice defense, and untap your plays to make your combos last a little bit longer as well, which is super nice. Mostly a pretty defensive card, and a Self-Awakening card. So we have 4 copies of Senzu Bean, and 1 copy of Unyielding Trunks. These are pretty self-explanatory. They're pretty much untapped cards. This boost, you can play this on your Bardock. This can lead into some crazy combos. If you can get like 2 Senzu Beans set up or in your hand for turn 5, you're just going absolutely insane. So, what's the ideal combos for this deck? Turn 1, you're probably going to hit off a. There's no really. I mean, turn 1's pretty much your standard, your Fascia. You're going to be searching out pieces to the puzzle, stuff like that. You might get a chance to evolve into Grade 8 Fascia if you get a chance. If you don't, the next play for turn 2 is to, hopefully you've milled out either a Bardock script of some sort, so you're playing either Fascia or you're playing Tora. Tora's the main card you kind of want to see if you want to go off super early. If not, Fascia's kind of just like the setup fodder is what you want, is pretty much where you want to go for it. If you happen to hit this off, you hit turn 1, turn 2, you can tap 3 mana to summon this on turn 3, which is absolutely insane, and you can hit this on turn 4, which sounds deadly, but again, your opponent, depending on how your opponent's playing, they like, if they see this up, they're pretty much going to leave some stuff untapped to go crazy, and that's why you really hit this on turn 5. Turn 5 allows you to get more setup of the more of the pieces on board that you really care about. And if you have 2 Senzu Beans in hand, this strat goes absolutely insane. So, where's my Senzus? Where's my Senzu Beans? Okay, so you can obviously, if you have your 1 copy of your Unyielding Trunks, you can do this on turn 4 as well. But Senzu Beans is a little bit more aggressive. So you have your 5 mana, right? 1, 2, 3. Oops. You have your 5 mana down here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana. So you've set up for your turn, and this is pretty much what you're looking at on board, right? So he's in discard pile. Sorry, he's in discard pile. You're looking at those 2 on discard pile. So Final Strike Bardock. He goes in for the strike. You either give him double shot or not. Then you can send this card to the discard pile. And actually, what you want to do, I'm lying. I'm sorry. I'm lying. You attack with this card, right? Then you tap 4 of your mana, for Tora's Armband. Removes the Tora from discard pile, switches this to active mode, goes ham. We're gonna say you have another Tora in discard pile. Because it's not unfallible, but you'll have more than one Tora. Plus you have all those ape Toras and all that kind of stuff. So you play this, it switches it to active mode, makes it a 35,000 now, and double strike. Attacks. They do what they need to block it, whatnot. But the thing is, it gives it 10,000 power and double strike for the duration of the turn. So, you draw in 4 more cards after that. So you have plenty of combo power that you want to go deeper. Maybe potentially draw into another Tora's Armband. You play a couple Sensu Beans, tap 1, untap 2, tap 1, untap 2. And you sit there and you're able to eventually set up to... So, eventually, you might need 3, I guess. I guess you would need 3 Sensu Beans or Trunks or somewhere in there. If you wanted to, you could actually play a second one of these. It's not super relevant because you do have the Fascia to go through and, like, untap this again. It has double strike, and plus it's got all those Sensu Beans stacked on top of it. It's super huge, super fat, absolutely crazy, and that's pretty much your game ender. You don't really need the Future Punch. You don't need the other stuff like that for the combo pieces. But this is how the deck pretty much works. My math was a little bit wrong with the Sensu Beans there, but that's pretty much how the deck works. So you get one strike, you get a double strike, and then you get the second double strike. Pretty standard if you go off on turn 5. This is pretty much how the deck works. If you guys like this kind of content, if you like the newer style builds, or if you want to see something a little bit more competitive, I'll have that in the upcoming weeks if that's something you're looking for. We got a couple Pan builds in the works as well. We have a Frieza deck. Pretty much a bunch of decks using new cards, even if it's not the new leaders, it's using some of the new cards in tandem with the old stuff, like using the new Dende leader with the Frieza stuff from last set, because that's the leader it was looking for. But if that kind of content's it's what you like, man, I'm stuttering. If that kind of content's what you like, hit that subscribe button down below. Don't forget to check out the giveaway in the comment section as well, and I will see you guys in the next video. Have a great day, guys. PokeRuss out. Peace.